Hey, Impact families. Hope you are doing well in the midst of all this craziness. Not going too stir crazy at home. We are kind of with you all in that balancing that whole keeping some normalcy to the schedule, maybe trying to do schoolwork and not not go crazy and wring each other's necks. But I hope you all are doing well, and I hope that you've heard that we are going to be online for at least the next couple Sundays as we navigate what's happening around us. And as a church, we've been trying to post some different resources for students and for kids. And I've had this kind of idea bounce around in my head for the last few months based on a video that I watched that I wanted to share with parents. And I wish I could share the whole video with you, but I can't do that. So I want to really quickly share with you the content of the video and then a little challenge for us. So as parents, we're going to have the unique opportunity to have church at home with our kids the next couple of Sundays, and I do hope that you tune in online. But what hopefully that will lead to is having some conversations about what Dale talks about and what God's Word has to say, and how we navigate this time as a church family. So back to this video. Several months ago, I saw this brief video by a woman named Kara Powell. She works for the Fuller Youth Institute, and they study youth culture, especially as it relates to faith. And if you've read any studies, you know that there's a large percentage of students who grow up in the church, and then once they go on to college, they don't go to church. They don't maintain that relationship with God, and don't seem to have a vibrant faith. And a lot of people are talking about how do we address that as the church. And one of the things that they really talk about is the impact of the family, about you and I as parents with our students. So anyhow, in this video, she shared this statistic that 70% of church kids that when they went to college, 70% admitted that they had doubts about their faith. Now, doubts aren't necessarily bad, but that's a big number of kids who have admitted that. What we really don't know is how many of them pursued that, how many of them had conversations about that. And that led into this story that she shared about a junior high boy named Steve. Now, Steve was a pretty sharp kid, and he always had big questions. Well, he came to his pastor one time at church and asked, does God know about all the starving kids in the world? And he was really curious about that. And did God know? And so the pastor, according to the story, his response was, yes, God knows, and we just need to trust him. Now, that's not a bad answer, but basically that ended the conversation for Steve. And he left the church, and he didn't come back and ask any more questions. And according to the story, he was not comfortable talking to his parents about faith. And he never pursued that. And the story comes out of Steve Jobs' biography. So as a young kid, he had doubts, he had questions, and there was not an ongoing conversation with the adults in his life to begin to address those. And there are not easy answers for a lot of the questions that we might have or that our students would ask. But Kara's point in the video is that we need to do our best to facilitate those conversations. Now, down below in the description, I'm going to give a couple of the points that she shared, but really quickly, one response she said as parents that we can have is that when our kids ask the question is to say, I don't know, but. So I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know why there's all these starving kids around the world, but let's see what God's Word has to say. Let's talk to somebody else who knows a little bit more about this issue. So rather than just saying yes, no, trust God, say, and when we don't know, say, I don't know. And people respect when we say, I don't know, but I'll find out, or I'll do my best to get an answer to that, or let's continue to talk about that. See what God's Word says. See what other people say. So I don't know, but another phrase that she said that they found in their studies that's really good is, I'm sorry. Because I know as a parent, I don't always respond the best way to my kids. And I remember when I was a kid, my dad got upset with us about something that didn't seem like a big deal. And a little bit later, he came back and he apologized for his reaction. And I remember even as a kid thinking, he's the dad. He doesn't have to do that. Dads don't have to apologize. But that marked me, and that marks kids when, as parents, we come back and say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't give the best answer. I didn't have the best reaction. I didn't know how to answer that question. I'm sorry. So let's continue to talk about that. But the whole idea is that we continue in these conversations. But here's the challenge for you really quickly. out of the research and the studies that they've done, they found that a lot of students don't know how their parents came to faith. They don't know about the story of their relationship with Jesus. So your kids may know that you go to church, obviously. They may know that faith in God is important to you, but they may not know the backstory. They may not know that as a child, your grandma took you to church. They may not know, like with me, we grew up going to church. Sunday was not a question of if we were going. It was how long are mom and dad going to talk after the service, and then we're going to finally get to go home. So that might be your story, that you just grew up going to church. Maybe you had an event in your middle school, high school, or college years that shook you and brought you into a relationship with God. Whatever your story is, it doesn't have to be dramatic. But do your kids know how you came into a relationship with God? So my challenge is to share that, so that they know that it's more than just, oh, mom and dad go to church, or dad has this relationship with God, that mom follows Jesus, but why? What's the backstory to that? So I want to encourage you in the time that you'll have watching online together with just your family, that you would have those conversations. Now we look forward to, hopefully very soon, where we can be back together again. We don't have to communicate through screens like this, although this is a great tool to have when we can't be together, but we do look forward to being together again. But between now and that time, would love for you to have those conversations with your kids. And we look forward to hearing about how those have had an impact on your relationship with your kids and their relationship with God. And if there's anything that you need, feel free to reach out to us at the church. You can comment below, send us a message. You got all kinds of ways to reach out to us. But if there's any way we can be helping you as a family, we can be praying for you, then we look forward to being able to do that. But have those conversations. Let your kids know how you came into a relationship with Jesus, and see how that leads into even more conversations. So be safe, be well. Hope to see you online. And again, please interact with us. And if there's anything we can be doing for your family, or any ways that we can be praying for you, please let us know. Have a great weekend.